welcome back. We got we got our whole team back. We took a little time off, but as you know it, this is ain't no manual. This is us. I'm Trey,
I'm Ron. I'm Chris.
and we have a great guest today. An amazing man.
Yeah.
All right, we were joking about how young we are. Like we still feel young.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. We are young.
Yeah.
And what do they say? Black don't crack, right?
No crack, bro.
Hey, that's how we are. So look, we have Neil Jelani Nelson here. All right, the man in the flesh.
The legend. The legend.
So what I'm very familiar with is Atlanta Black Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more to your empire. You have a lot more going on. So I don't want to read too much, but you know it's a lot here. First of all, you're CEO of DDM Group, right? Is that like the umbrella of all the corporations?
Yes, that's our
Okay.
company.
That's a big thing. The Shadow League, Fanura,
Mm-hmm.
and there's many more. So what would you say is your baby? What really got you started?
Atlanta Black Star.
Atlanta Black Star. How long have you had Atlanta Black Star?
13 years.
13. That's a
Yeah.
long time. So did you start around middle school? You know,
No, I mean, I think that we started out really with the idea of wanting to change the world in a way that we understood, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm a student of, history,
Mhm.
science. I'm an engineer by training. I have an engineering degree. I have a math degree. And so I wanted to understand, I started out wanting to understand how our people
Mhm.
are in the current context that we're in, our condition.
Definitely.
And so I spent a lot of time studying, reading, and came to the conclusion that the fundamental thing is really our consciousness, right? It's that the reason we behave the way we do is because of our consciousness. And this is true for everyone, right? For all people. And so looked into that and realized that ultimately consciousness is really about content,
Okay.
right? A person. So we came with a really simple motto that content changes consciousness.
Oh, okay.
So when you say content, does that mean like exposure? What you're exposed to early in life kind of dictates how you think and the way you move?
Yeah, I think that's a key part of it. But it's inclusive of everything that you absorb as a human being, from movies, TV shows, music, your parents, the environment, physically, how it signals you, how it triggers you, and we're constantly being shaped by these signals from the environment. How many trees are in your environment? How much concrete versus tree? How many books are in your home when you're growing up? All of these things shape our consciousness.
And most people don't think that deep, right? Like we're consumed by social media. We're consumed by what's just on our basic cable. We don't dig deep and think about the subconscious and what's really playing on the way we react. I was watching something not too long ago. I think it was one of the episodes of Roland Martin, right? And Roland Martin was talking about how we really, it's been forever, but he says the time is now for us to take back control of the media. Do you see a way for us to get to that point? I mean, it sounds like an easy thing to do when you say it, but the people who control media they're hidden faces, but they control so much. But how do we, as people of color in our community, how do we start to take back that media?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something that we've thought about a lot, right? Being in that space, and I think that there is no taking back the media as a category by itself, right? Because media has to be funded by other industries, right? And so taking back the media would require us taking back control of our community in totality, right? And so, one of my favorite scholars, Dr. Amos Wilson, he often talks about this idea that Black America is really a nation within a nation, and that if you think about it that way, then the media is just one part of what a nation's infrastructure, right? How a nation talks to itself. And so the people who are, if we want to take back and own the media, Black media, we have to take back and own a whole slew of other industries that would go into funding those that particular industry. And it starts with, in my mind, again, it starts with consciousness, right? It starts with, who do we think we are as a people? If you think that you're an American like anybody else who's American, then you don't have a need to control Black media or for Black folks to control the media, right? Because you're an American, and it's American media, it's CNN and all these other things. But if you see yourself as being a people within a people, a nation within a nation, it's like some other people may control CNN and Fox News and these other entities and Paramount, and we should control a subset of the entire media apparatus of the country. And so it goes into who you think you are. It goes into identity.
You're diving into it. I mean, you're not just talking it, you're walking it, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the other entities that you have, the Shadow League. What's that about?
So Shadow League is a sports platform that was founded by Keith Clinkscales. Keith Clinkscales is the first publisher of Vibe magazine.
I remember Vibe.
Yeah, so he was the publisher of Vibe, went on to work at ESPN, ran ESPN Entertainment, then ran Revolt when it was launched. And then he launched, at the same time, he launched Shadow League. And so we acquired that from him about 2021. Yeah.
Now that's right up your alley, right?
That's what I
know. I know.
So what made you kind of? I mean, of course, it was obviously a good business decision. But what made you kind of want to get into that sports world, or kind of tap into that market?
Yeah. Well, I think a couple things. One is that sports is the one area where Black men over-index in media.
Tell them again.
And so that's one thing. The second thing is actually advertising dollars. There's a hierarchy within the media industry of what content media buying agencies prefer to invest in. And sport is at the pinnacle of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Right. So those are the two reasons that really drove our decision in acquiring that property.
Man, I mean, like I said, the business is it's probably booming. Like, we talk about it all the time, like with the youth, like how it's starting, how they're young, like babies, and then moving them up rankings, and NIL deals,
right,
money, and give them Adidas, Nike contracts. So I mean, that's kind of like finna be the way of the world, of the sports world. So you catch them early,
exactly.
So you kind of tapping into untapped market early. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think all of us played sports growing up. And realized, well, for me, I realized really early on I wasn't going anywhere in that track. But we got to get our young kids, our sons, our families to realize there's so much more to the media world than being the actual athlete. So much more to sports than being an athlete, and so many other ways to be very successful. I mean, I went into business school in college because I knew, hey, I looked at the average athlete. You only got a few years for the average athlete to play, but I knew if I was on the business side, I could be involved in whatever industry I like for 10, 20, 30 years, maybe the rest of my life, So that was something big for me.
They call the NFL not for long. I mean, you see a lot of these stories on how these NFL players, NBA players, they run out of money fast because they're retiring at 30. Retiring at 30, don't know what to do, right?
Don't know what
they didn't know what to do when they got their first check. They don't know what to do when they got their last check. So I definitely think financial empowering is important, especially for, like you said, a Black dominated, like most sports are dominated by minorities. So you would think that with all that cash flow, with all that wealth,
we have ownership.
We would have ownership, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times I think we're scared to take on, or we think that we can't succeed in that realm, in that circle. But we can. So
that's why we're glad we got people like you.
People like you, exactly.
Feeding that information to us, and and showing us. But I told you earlier when I first met you, man. When I read your bio, I was like, yo, I got questions for myself outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
Man, reading your profile, bro, it's amazing to see someone of our color, our stature, doing things that you're doing, man, and putting it back into the community. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir.
And then you were talking about financial literacy, empowerment for Nura.
Yes.
I mean, yours go right down the line.
Yeah.
We talk about one thing, well, it leads to this. So what is Finura?
Yeah, so Finura, we launched Finura at the same time we acquired Shadow League at the, middle of the pandemic. We saw a need for us to publish content that would trigger our people to focus their attention on the financial industry and how best to navigate that terrain, right? One of the things that we see a lot in our community is that we don't manage our money in a way to build value for ourselves and our family. We manage our money as a way of consuming, right? So it's how much can I consume? And so oftentimes, even folks are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. As soon as that that income stream gets interrupted, they're a month or two away from bankruptcy, right? Yep. And so if you're making that kind of money, you should be able to have a very, large nest egg, should have a significant amount of savings that allow you to operate beyond just the income stream being present, especially if you talk about being in the NFL or NBA for several years. Even blue collar folks don't think about this. And so what we wanted to do is make sure that we created a content platform that allows our community to constantly be reminded about money, to think in ways about money responsibly. So we approach it differently from traditional finance or money conversations. We understand that our community over consumes entertainment news. And so we use Finora to talk about the financial news that we think would trigger our people to think about money. And so we talk about people's assets or celebrities. We talk about what assets they're acquiring, what assets they're selling. We talk about their financial ups and downs so that our community can use those events as jump off points to have conversations about their finances.
I think that, in my opinion, I think there's a lack of discipline because even when you're growing up, I think I always had the motto of like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. All right. So you want to consume as much as you can, have as much fun, but that's not realistic if you want to build.
Right.
It's not realistic if you want to be able to have something to leave to your family. But the problem is we learn it too late. Yeah. Now we want to wait until we get, older or we expect the next generation to make better decisions than us.
Right.
We got to lead by example, right?
That's precisely.
I don't know. It's a great conversation. And
and it's like the people before, like our parents, like they didn't know about that stuff.
Right.
They didn't. So they weren't able to teach us that.
Right.
So, we learned it now. So we're trying to teach ours and, just kind of flow from there.
Exactly. And I think we have to also, what I do with my son, for example, we make sure that he had a portfolio, when he was still in middle school, right? So that he had so we started investing on a regular basis, kind of put in place an investment strategy that doesn't require him thinking about it, so that by the time he gets to be 22, he has a whole nest egg that he can retire on, kind of thing.
Bro, you're a superhero.
Bro, you're a superhero. That's dope. Yeah. So that's what brought us together. You touched on your son. We came together because, hey, we felt that there's a void, there's a gap in really having conversations about fatherhood, about how we're raising the next generation, what it really means to be a man. I got to ask you, so you talk about having a portfolio for your son, but is your son really following your lead, or is he like some of our kids who want to go the other direction as fast as they can?
Yeah, it's a little both. It's a little both. I think that the way that everything that we talk about in this conversation, we have to always remember that there is a bigger social context in which we exist, right? And so for every one instruction that we give our child or children, society gives them 1,000, right? And so we can't really compete with that by ourselves. And that's why, again, it's so important that Amos Wilson says, if you think about yourself as a nation, then you're not just concerned about, well, what can I do for my child? It becomes, what can we do for our children? And what kind of structures can we build for them to operate? Because we could have, my son can grow up next to a son from a different ethnic group or different background, and they can go to the same school, be in the same classes, be neighbors in the same community, but end up with different outcomes on average, because that other ethnic group may have better infrastructure as a group,
Right.
that guides and directs their children into certain outcomes, whereas our children typically don't have that from the group. So we in this room may do that for our sons and daughters, but as a people, we don't have the requisite institution and social structures that guide our children into the outcomes that we want to. And that to me is the core issue.
And see, we were raised in the village. Like, we come from, and I got to shout out everywhere we go, Southwest Atlanta, SWATs. That's where we grew up. And we were raised by the whole village. I still remember being in school, and if I acted up, there were certain teachers that would call my parents straight up and be like, hey, can I go do what I got to do? I had a pincher, I had a paddle teacher, I had all that. But we had a community not only to discipline us, but they really guided us in so many ways. And I don't want to say shortcomings, but our parents, we can admit it, they had some shortcomings. But we always had somebody else in that village that could raise us up and build us up and talk to some points that our parents may have missed. And I think that we've lost that in a lot of ways. And I take some of that fault, because I think my whole plan is to evolve with the world and make sure I'm moving a certain way so my kids are not scared off from the way that I live, or that my kids aren't so rebellious because I'm not up with the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's so many pressures that I see. But I think we need to get back to that real village, man. But I guess
So I got a question. We were talking earlier about expanding out of the country, right?
Yeah.
So my question would be, is it possible to build that community, that vision that we were just talking about? Is that even, some would say that's not even possible here in the United States?
I think it's possible everywhere.
Okay.
And because I think that at the end of the day, the kind of structure that I'm talking about are man-made structure, right? And so wherever people are, people can enter into relationship with each other that facilitate the kind of structures that they need. What I mean by this is this. I like to use examples, right? And so, I have friends who are Jewish, and in the Jewish community, we're in school together in New England. I grew up in Western New England, about an hour and a half out of Boston, in Western New England, and I had all kind of folks in my school: Jewish, Arab, Black, Puerto Ricans, Asians, whatever, right? And so one of the things that was particular that I observed was that the Jewish kids had other institutions that educated them outside of the public school that we all went to, right? And so those institutions guided them and gave them lessons about different aspects of their identity and how to be in the world, how to operate in the world. When I was growing up, we used to go to the MLK Center in Springfield or the Dunbar Center after school or summertime to have, different activities and events.
Right.
I don't know to the degree to which our young people today are being exposed to those things. And so we need more of those things, but we need them not just in social sense of, okay, come here and play basketball and do your homework and stuff, but the entire range of human activities.
Right.
We need those infrastructures, right? And we can build them, because at the end of the day, no matter how the environment otherwise is,
right,
me and you can determine that we're going to relate this way to each other.
right,
And we're not going to let the environment prevent us from relating that way to each other. And that's really the kernel of building social institutions and organizations. It's how do we relate to each other such that we can facilitate getting done the things that we think are important enough to get done for ourselves to survive and to thrive in the world.
I like that optimism. I mean, but we have to figure out how to spread the optimism, because we know that we go out here and there's certain guys that are like, I don't care about voting. I don't care about what's going on outside of this 2-mile radius.
Right.
It's really tricky, and it's really got to figure out how do we get each other on the same page.
It's exhausting.
It is. That's another part. This is exhausting.
I've even seen you try to do things in the community with just subpar support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've seen you get frustrated to the point where you're like, look, I done tried to do a lot for this community, but right now I don't know. You know, which is understandable that kind of frustration, put that kind of support and energy into something. So easier said than done, but I mean, I guess people can't stop, right? Then you can't stop, right?
Yeah, I get frustrated, especially a man that don't have unlimited funds. My checkbook isn't blank like that. You know? I got a lot of commitments with all these children.
Right.
But another thing you touched on, as far as your upbringing, and if you're comfortable talking about it, you told me you're originally from Jamaica. What part?
I'm from northern Clarendon, so that's like the interior of Jamaica, the center of Jamaica. Yeah.
So the culture we know is different, but what are some of the major differences you see as far as minorities in America versus minorities
in Jamaica,
in the Caribbean?
Yeah. I would say that the biggest difference that I had growing up, and this is not, so let me say this before I say any of that stuff. I think that Black America is very vast and diverse, right? Okay. And so I grew up in the Northeast here, and it's completely different in my mind
than the South.
So when I came down here in '96 to go to college, I was like, oh,
yeah, it's different.
It's different, right? And I grew up in Western New England. When I go to New York, we used to go to Manhattan a lot. Before Manhattan got cleaned up, it was really like hostile, like a war zone. If you go to 42nd Street and around that area back then, you know, it was a different environment. So I'm saying that to say that, to give context to my statement, that there is not a one particular set of descriptions of Black America that fits all parts of Black America, right? So I'll say that. So my particular experience coming to where I grew up in Western New England, the probably the biggest thing I saw was that kids in Jamaica, when I was in 1990, were way more disciplined.
That's in the South too, but
than in New England, right? And so, and you can't talk back to adults. The kids in my classroom would talk back to the teachers. That didn't happen in Jamaica where I grew up. That never happened.
And if it did, you wouldn't see that kid again.
Zero. And so that I could say about that particular situation. And then the second thing I'll say too is that, in a way, and this is more so, I think Jamaica and the South actually are more aligned. So Black people in the South, more aligned with my experience because I grew up in rural Jamaica. And so there was a lot more emphasis on spirituality and religion playing a role in how you behave than what was happening in New England at the time.
Yeah. So the name of the podcast is, we kind of switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
Is Ain't No Manual, right?
Yeah.
So I know we all kind of grew up different, was raised a little different. So with your son, what if you can go back, like what is something that you wish you would have known back then, you know, or was taught that you could have taught, you know, that you're teaching your son that you didn't get taught? You know what I'm saying? Like what's the difference? You know what I mean?
That's a good question. The one thing I would say that I did not get taught, that I didn't get taught in a formal way, was paying attention to my son in a more hands-on. I was there, we're present, but I've come to realize that a child's intelligence is primarily a function of how much attention, constructive, productive attention was paid to that child between conception and about 3 years old.
Right.
And we did pay attention to him, but we could have done more, right? We're both professionals trying to, you know, be entrepreneurs at the same time. And, you know, for me, I was in my mid-20s. And so I didn't know that. Now that I'm in my 40s, I'm going to do this thing all over again.
Right. So that's something you would
do to next children is like, we're going to be focused, super focused on every single day of that child's life for those critical years.
That was like a great one. I wasn't even expecting you to say that because that resonates with, I'm sure, to all of us. Like, you know, we were young.
Right.
I had my son, I was still in high school.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of getting raised as he was getting raised. So a lot of stuff I couldn't teach him because, hell, I didn't know.
We didn't know, right?
Yeah. So as I started getting older and start having more, I start like, all right, now I know this. So I got to make sure that I teach my next son this. So, I mean, that was perfect. Like, that resonated real with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And my dad, like, I'm talking about this a lot, you know, my dad was there, but he wasn't very hands-on.
Right.
So a lot of stuff I had to learn on my own as well. And I, you know, when I learned it, I wanted to pass it down to mine.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of cycles we're trying to break, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing some of the things that you were taught, man. But we got to break those and be more conscious.
Yes.
So you got a segment. This is a new one. We're trying something new on you. We got something new.
A rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, this is just sometimes you just gotta have a little fun.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to go.
So I got some rapid fire questions. Don't think too hard about them. The goal is to try to just answer them as fast as you can. If you wanna explain why, that's fine. So
Okay.
question one:
Yeah.
timeout or BTA? No BTA.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was raised that way.
Yeah.
I'm glad I just can admit it. Some people look at me
full
crazy
BTA,
and they be like,
Yeah.
I'm BTA.
like, yeah, BC, real talk.
Summer or winter?
For what?
Just summer or winter. I can't explain. You got it. It's rapid fire.
Oh, man.
Different time for different.
Yeah, summer.
Summer. Okay.
Yeah.
Underexposure or overexposure?
Depends.
In one context, right?
Yeah. So
With your kids, underexpose them to things or overexpose them to things?
It still depends.
still depends. Yeah.
What's overexposing them to?
Yeah. Some things they need to know as much as they can. And some things like, you know what, we'll wait.
Right. I'll switch that a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, some believe that their kids shouldn't see certain things.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I saw certain things. Some I probably shouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
But do you think a little bit of exposure to even the bad, of course, right? Because it's the real world.
Yeah, I think it should be gradual. You know, I think children should be gradually introduced to certain things that can drastically affect their personality, their identity, like violence, sex.
Right.
Those kind of things should be very gradual and slow to the point of comprehension. If they can't comprehend it fully, then they shouldn't be exposed to it, in my opinion.
And you got to be ready to explain this.
Exactly. And they have to be able to understand it.
You never are really ready.
Like nobody there. You got to be ready to explain.
Yeah.
All right, we almost done. Hot or lemon pepper?
Oh, man, hot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Same way.
Order out or home cooked?
Oh, man, you know what? Damn, it's a both again. It's a both. Man.
Now, if you got a woman at home, you might get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Home cooked for him. Car or
He
truck?
picked it. Oh, truck.
Truck.
Okay.
Truck guy.
Yeah.
Oh no, Chris Brown or Usher?
Neither.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm more boys to man, old school.
Oh,
Nice.
there we go.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No shade on Chris.
Yeah,
Usher.
no.
We
Yeah, we gonna
I want to come on.
Yeah.
We'll definitely open to that. Sporting events or concerts?
Concerts.
Okay.
Mhm.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Okay.
100%.
Beef or chicken?
Neither.
No.
Nice.
Fish.
Vegetarian?
Fish.
Oh, fish. Okay,
Yeah.
pescatarian.
That's too.
Okay. There we go. You the first one to do it.
Yeah.
Good job.
I appreciate it.
We got another segment. It's up to you.
So
We got a
we
fit
do a
check.
thing called fit check.
Okay.
Not nothing serious, you know. We just kind of say what we got on, what
Okay.
care, you know. Trying to keep it cool.
Yeah.
Like we ain't the old guys no more. We still can clean up.
100%.
Dads can dress too.
Dads can dress too, you know.
Yes, sir.
So we'll start with Ron. Ron, what you rocking? Big chip.
I got on some Asics. I'm a grandfather, so I bought my tip base off comfort.
It's always comfort. Comfort them. Oh yeah.
It's always comfort. Khakis, Calvin Klein shirt. If you know, you know. If you don't, read my bio.
There you go.
LA hat.
All right. So this is inspired by my brother, man.
Corduroy.
He pushed me out there to get some corduroy. Never worn it before, but I got on the corduroy and it's comfortable, man. I appreciate it. It's real comfortable, man. I can't complain. Always, what I say, the bamboo white tees, gotta stay comfortable with those. And my favorites next to the Air Force, the Jordan 1s is the Air Force One. Clean white, icy white. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Okay.
What you doing? What you looking
Oh,
like?
and there's a wrap boots.
Okay.
Tom Ford,
Of course.
Rolex.
Oh yeah, I saw the Rolex. I want you to say. Yeah, I want to go say. I picked it a couple times.
You got a Tom Ford cologne too?
No, it's different. Yeah. It's a Maison. It's a Parisian house. Cologne.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I can't.
You know me, Armani, XL, Strange, Saga suit, Jordan 1s, white, had to match. You know me, real smooth, real cool, real light.
So I ain't gonna lie, you came in here clean from your son's game. Like you had on.
I thought this.
Yeah, I thought you.
Nah, so that was So I was dressed for my daughter's game from the darn.
Okay.
So then my son had a game. Man, y'all know how my world works.
I better have some comfortable shoes with that going on.
That's how my world is, man. You know.
Yeah.
So
There we go.
hey, we appreciate you, man. Like
For sure.
I mean, to the
I
information
enjoyed
you
it.
gave, the things that we're able to relate to people watching, and I mean, this might be one of the best episodes we've had so far.
It is
Yeah.
one of the best episodes.
We're gonna do 2 dad tips. We're gonna do 2. We want to get a dad tip from you. What is some advice you're gonna give to dads, father figures? They don't even have to be a father.
Yeah.
Dads out here, those who are mentors and examples to other people out here.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that after paying attention to your children, I think the best thing you could do is actually organize the world around your children. Right? Yeah. The world that we build around our children is the most important world that we can create and sustain. That's the best thing. Fatherhood is about being a man, right? You can't be a father unless you're a man. And being a man means that you bring order, structure, provisioning for your children and for your family. And so if you want to be effective in the world, don't worry about whether your kids like you or love you or not initially. Focus on providing a world, the best world that you can provide for them to grow up and thrive in and be their best selves.
Man, I was saying it.
And
You come back.
I like the way you said that because most people are gonna think they can't control. They don't have any control, but you do have control. Absolutely, so much. I say that again, man. Control the world, not just even for your kids. To control the world around yourself.
Yes,
What you let into you, like not just the food, man. What you ingest mentally, man.
everything,
It's deep.
all aspects of it.
I'm undefeated on the day.
He was undefeated. He was killing it with it there.
He's being a dad, but I do have a dad too.
Here we go.
Because it's the holiday season is coming up. I see a lot of parents scrambling, a lot of dads scrambling, trying to put together money to get their kids Christmas and this and that. The best gift you can give them is to give the knowledge, to give the support, the untangible things. So stop running out there trying to buy them the best toy. No toy ever lasts, but the knowledge can last forever.
For sure.
Thanks.
So that's my dad tip.
Look at
Yeah,
you.
man.
Yeah, you never fail, bro.
We had a powerful one today.
Shooting the gap.
But hey, this is what we do. It's all about us raising awareness for our fathers, for our father figures, for our kids. This is who we do it for.
For sure, for sure.
So once again, signing off. Ain't no manual, but you'll see us again.
There you go. Follow, subscribe,
Do all of that.
all that.
Come find us. Get our number. Do all that stuff.
Right.
But it's Ain't No Manual Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Till next time.